In this session, we're going to talk about how to choose between the classic editor and the block editor, which is native in WordPress 5.0 and later. The first step is really to figure out which version of WordPress you're using. You can do that by scrolling to the lower right-hand corner of your dashboard. There you'll see which version WordPress is on. You can also see this under Dashboard and Updates. Because we are in WordPress 5.0.3, the default editor for us is going to be the block editor. And indeed, if you add new content, you can see that it defaults to using the block editor for that. If I would prefer to use the classic editor to add and edit my content, I can go under Plugins and either install or, in this case, simply activate the classic editor plugin. It should be relatively easy to install the plugin. If you do a search through the WordPress repository, it is one of the most common plugins available at this point. And once installed, if you choose Activate, it will immediately give you the option to jump to Settings to configure it. The classic editor settings are available under Settings and Writing if you need to return to this at some point. And here you can see that the options that we have are highlighted slightly in blue initially. The default editor with the classic editor plugin enabled is, of course, to use the classic editor, and the default for the option to allow your users to switch between the editors is set to no. You do want to make sure that you scroll down and say Save Changes. And at that point, if you go to edit or add any new content, you should see the traditional editor, the classic editor, WYSIWYG, whichever you'd like to call it, for adding and editing your content. If you would prefer to allow your users to switch between the editors, you can go and change the setting here under, again, Settings and Writing. With the option enabled, you will see a few things differently. One, you'll see some extra text to the right of your posts and pages indicating whether that content is in the classic editor format or if it's been updated to the block editor. And when you hover over a post or page, you'll see a choice between the block editor and the classic editor for which you want to use to edit that content. The default will continue to be the classic editor if you just click on the page title.